play safe, watch safe. You know, the safety mechanics are for you guys too. Always do the right thing for you. Thank you very much. Now on to the thing we just warned you about.
Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete. Got my eyes on you, and you got no clue what I'm supposed to do. I can't help myself. Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little, piece by piece, until I'm complete. Take was not yours. If you know who I am, when the night will fall, I'll haunt your dreams. Little by little, piece by piece, I take back what's been stolen from me. Little by little.
Hello, and welcome to episode 25 of The Place of Wrath and Tears, a KULT Divinity Lost actual play. Normally we don't do that, but it's been 25 episodes with these wonderful people, and I just want to take the time to say that thank you very much for watching. Curtis, old Curtis, thank you very much for all of the awesome audio-visual stuff that you do. And Elon, Erica, Kate, thank you very much for working with me and, you know, helping telling this great story together. And all of that stuff. It has been a delightful time. And this is absolutely not a goodbye post. But, you know, 25 episodes and a dozen more before that, we're telling a good story and it's been delightful. So we're going to tell some more of it tonight. And I think that we're going to have a good time. In the words of a computer guy in Jurassic Park, hold on to your butts. Bethany.
Yeah.
You had a rough night. It was challenging, to say the least. Things weren't going well. And when you walked into the desert, how were you feeling? What was your mindset kind of as you went out into that dark place?
Frustrated. But determined to use my frustration to make this work. There's no way this wasn't gonna happen.
Okay.
No matter what sort of damage I did about it.
Yeah.
One of those.
Yes. Damn the torpedoes.
Yep.
Okay. Your wanderings were not quite as dramatic as your siblings. A lot of what you were doing was very internal, and maybe you did walk past terrible things. But Bethany, you're used to walking past terrible things. Your life has been kind of a panorama of terrible things. And so maybe these things that went past you didn't really register as much. However, when you saw the little shack, the little 10 by 10 unmortared cinder block shack with the corrugated sheet metal roof, you did recognize it. And coming here made some kind of sense, didn't it?
Yeah.
After all, lest we forget, the person that used nuke magic here really is you now.
Mm-hmm.
In many uncomfortable ways.
Yeah.
And so you have your laughable attempt at a crucible, which is mostly now clay that's dried on the outside with some char-grilled bits, a few other things, and probably most importantly, the Metropolis maggots, who are made, we think, entirely of metal.
Mhm.
So, do you have any thoughts as to how you're going to reattempt this smelting or casting procedure? There are no rules for this, so just go with a vibe.
Part of it is go to the center of the shack and dig a hole and bury the crucible in the sand. Still through the top, but just bury it as like one is an insulation thing, and two is a get down into where the magic-y bits were. And I think just starting to see it happen, like build in her mind, or Bethany's mind, magic, a sturdy crucible out of magic around it, and trying to warp reality into making the things she needs to make it happen.
Okay, sounds great. Do you think you're going to incorporate any of the previous magic that was here, the circle that had the 5 hearts in it that raised the dead? Are you going to try to involve that directly, or just?
If they feel like excess pockets of power, like if the holes where the hearts were feel like there's like magic residue, then yes, she's going to try to pull that magic into underneath the crucible underground.
You know what? As I presume that you would be going out and kind of physically, at least visually, poke around for.
Mm-hmm.
At the bottom of each hole where the hearts were is this little dish of glass, but it's got stuff mixed in it, and it's kind of greenish, and it's very gross. Not like icky, messy, slimy, but it's just kind of, the colors are clearly not through it, and there's a bunch of inclusions, and it cooled in place. But it's these little dishes of this strange green glass.
Those are mine now.
Yes, absolutely, they are.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely looks like something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So a little bit of circle, a little bit of square.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to invoke anything or anything like that? Are you going to reach out to any of the malignant powers that you know, at least if not their name, their style?
No. She wouldn't.
No answer is wrong.
No, I'm just thinking about it. She would. She hasn't got to talk to the Red Lady about Metropolis yet, so she's not going to ask her for help.
Okay.
Not real sure how she feels about that and the maggots and things.
Yeah, probably complicated.
And that's really complicated for just trying to do this. So.
Mm-hmm.
Not the time to have that conversation.
Okay.
She might, since she's out there and she went out into the desert, I think she reaches out to that untamed wild feeling in the desert. The like, you could walk up and it will consume you feeling.
Okay.
And she seemed to need to go out here to do this. Maybe she needs it.
Okay. So a little bit of blood and madness in the pile as well. I'm sure it will feel very welcome amongst the rest of Bethany's thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I like all that. That sounds really fun. And I imagine that Bethany has probably had an amount of hyper focus in this.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Yes, ignoring the outside sounds, ignoring everything else that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Good. And when you sit back with your dirty knees and this part of your arms dirty from resting, or your elbows, or whatever uncomfortable back ruining posture that Bethany put herself in it without thinking for an hour or two, as you lean back and kind of release your mind a little bit from this intense focus, as you are essentially improvising magic. There's nothing in Daddy's book that says how to do this.
Yeah.
There is now a banging on the door.
It is frantic. It is Clara. Bethany, we need help. It is bad. We need help. Let us in.
Stumble up and open the door.
And Claire's like half carrying Matthew at this point, I think.
Yeah, he's got an arm around. He's got his good arm around her, just to try to support him. And
Bethany, they reek of blood and good earth and the inside of an untanned animal hide and sex, maybe fluidy, maybe some kind of a vague fluidy smell. But specifically, Matthew stinks of blood. And as Clara, well, I'll leave this to you guys. You guys know how to do this.
Yeah, Clara stumbles in with him and is looking for any vaguely raised flat surface to put him down on, and goes, he pulled magic and his hand blew up. We lost. We made it here, but he pulled a whole lot of magic, and there were things that were trying to come after us, and he protected us, and I don't know how to fix it.
Matthew has basically, the moment that he's put down and is no longer with one arm around Clara, he's grabbing on his wrist to try to enhance pressure.
Yeah.
He is 100% in shock at this point. You don't get an injury like this and don't start going into shock. He's probably shivering, going into that sort of the various sort of stages of how the body does that, where it's just clammy cold sweats,
and we had tied off his arm with a belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
with a belt and with a stocking.
Yes, and with one of my stockings.
Okay.
Yes.
the reason Matthew is going into shock is because his right hand has been, the first word that comes to mind is sandblasted away. It is just everything is gone. The wrist bones are exposed underneath some of the flesh. You can see the tips of the radius and ulna sticking out. It is absolutely a disaster of a wound. It is absolutely a horror show. And in Bethany's mind in this spot, because we all know that she's probably not doing very well. Actually, let's roll schizophrenia.
Yeah.
Let's see how Bethany is doing. Let's not assume how Bethany is doing. Let's use dice.
One of those went away.
Okay, I can
Yes.
hopefully reroll that one.
Okay. We rolled that one and went off the table, so I'm going to roll it in a book.
There you go.
Well, that's a 16 minus something. Still 14. Yeah.
14. Yeah, that's middle ground. So yeah, it's you are feeling the stress of of what's going on. And so there's there are some things going on, kind of some things flickering at the corners of your eyes, and you can feel things in your under your fingertips, kind of crawling around underneath your fingernails. But generally you are as with it as Bethany can be, as you take into account Matthew's obliterated hand.
Yeah. Gonna go look in my crucible, because, man, this is a bigger project than I initially anticipated now.
Welcome to the corporate world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that someone on the Discord seemingly wrote, I like that, like, Bethany's like, I've got this finger. It's like, Matthew needs like an entire fucking head.
Like, I had a project and I completed it and you came here. What the fuck?
They weren't even supposed to be here. You didn't invite them. You thought they were good. They were supposed
What
to
if
be.
it's gonna come back to the hotel and fix it? But no.
Yeah. They were supposed to be
So-
fucking.
Giving you the room for the night. Fuck that. Come
The
on.
one time that Bethany's like, I wish they were just fucking. The one time.
Why can't my siblings just have sex? It'd be so much easier if they were just having sex.
Yeah.
Really?
Love you guys.
Do you need more?
Now, Bethany, I want you to roll 6 Sense.
Okay. That is 13, 6 senses plus soul. 4, so that's 17.
Yes.
E.
So I'm gonna, if I may, I'd like to use one of those moves for you and give you a context clue.
That would be great.
You remember watching the worms kind of manifest in Clara as you guys went further from the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Like as things got weirder, as the illusion broke down, or as you went either closer to something or further away from something. You know, you're not really sure how it worked, but as you guys did that, you do remember watching those start to spawn in her stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And you are wondering if there is something that you could do, given adequate MacGuffin, to actually inspire what could be possibly maybe a breeding cycle.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Do need more.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was enough for a finger. Now I'll have to make a hand.
All right.
Yeah.
Now
Claire?
there are two things you could try. You could either use the tried and true method of chucking your sister far away from Elysium
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with that, or you could attempt to incite some sort of parthenogenesis
Yeah.
inside your crucible, because you are in a place of wild, untapped magic,
Yes.
and you did invoke it. So you could maybe use the local vibe trademark to get something for nothing.
Yes, that is the attempt.
Okay.
But then, of course, we always need something for nothing.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, would like to make the finger worms turn into hand worms.
Wow. Here's my question, which is, I don't know if this is a thing that I can do, because I'm currently in shock unless everything's terrible.
We're making it the fuck up, dude. Just say what you want to try.
Yeah.
But like, if I can help, I'm bleeding anyway. And so he would basically be like, use my blood.
Probably
Because
wouldn't hurt.
we are of Metropolis, and that is a thing of life. If you need to use something that is like, that will make it less just literally from nothing.
Okay.
It's not like I'm not already bleeding everywhere anyway.
Yeah.
True.
Well, if it's going to come out, we may as well use it.
Yep.
Never saying that again.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we've got Matthew's blood and entirely metallic worms of unknown provenance, genus or species, in a unfired clay crucible in the dirt on the edge of reality.
Yes.
Okay.
With the lightning glass of old magic in there, around there somewhere. Something.
Yup.
This is not OSHA compliant.
No, this is not OSHA compliant. I'm gonna go right out and say that this would actually probably be a workplace stoppage.
Yeah. Clara, if possible, would also like to help in that. I'm looking for. We're trying. She wants to open a portal. She knows she got there at some point when the last time she got high. So she's like, I can use what little bit I have on me and stare at the thing that Bethany has made and just try to really concentrate and rip open the lie or access the truth through like gotten real high and start digging in the sand around it and see what we can mix up under there. She would like to try that.
Sure. I mean, this is an important scene, so I absolutely, however you guys want to engage with it, like collaboratively, let's do it. Did you bring any drugs or other mind-altering substances with you? Or are you gonna?
She probably she probably has a little bit of morphine, if nothing else. Just a little bit of drugs because they were going into something dangerous and they didn't know how hurt Bethany might be. And it was not a selfish thought for once. It was this might be real bad out there. If we need to calm her down to get her back to civilization, I have at least something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
So has that, and we'll just be like, well, guess I'm taking it now. Sorry, brother, who's in a whole ton of pain and probably could have used it. Mine now.
Wow. All right. So how about what do you think, Matt? You think you'd want to roll magical intuition? Do you think that feels?
Yeah, I could do that.
That feels right? How about?
I feel like magical intuition could make sense with it. The only other way that I would think of it would be, weirdly enough, divine, because of the fact that it's essentially trying to use myself to get these things to do what I want them to do, which is a very different sort of vibe. So it's really up to you which one you'd think would make more sense.
I like magical intuition.
Let's go with that then.
Because I feel like that's essentially what the Van Horsts are doing right now, because I imagine that as we talk about things, that what we're also kind of like, that there's a lot of collaborative, like we're making it up as we go, moving sand around, digging around, talking, what do you think? What do you think? And I feel like intuition is what's guiding as opposed to a formal practice or anything else.
Yeah.
I mean, Lord knows he's not using like the higher functions of his brain right now. So this is all instinct in the end.
Yeah.
That is it's plus soul, right?
That's what I think, yeah.
That would be for me I got a 13, so that's plus, I think my soul is 3. Let me just make sure of that. I think it's, yes.
I'm confident it's at least a 2.
It was at least a 2, but so yeah, that's a 16.
Okay, great. Yeah, so Matthew gives some thoughts. Probably the biggest practical suggestion was to use my blood, because if it's going to go back into or on me, may as well start with me. That was a really smart idea. And Clara, is there something you'd like to roll?
I'm actually considering if this could be, I could roll Forbidden Inspiration again, or the end of we found Bethany was and what Beth was doing. So she is adding to Bethany's deeper realm using the ways that Clara knows how, which is to get high. But she's still trying to encompass what Bethany was doing and finish out that spell just more. She's trying to put power behind Bethany's intentions.
Okay. Did I hear you say that you wanted to roll to assist?
Oh, sorry. My internet went weird. Sorry.
It's okay.
No, but that's okay. I will just roll to assist.
I want to hear your original idea. You're worth the time.
Okay.
So tell me what you were thinking.
Okay. To either finish up or re-roll Forbidden Inspiration, and this is the end of her walking Bethany's journey, is finishing Bethany's map.
Okay.
We might have, yeah. So in the way Clara inspires herself and other people is to get high. So she's like, well, I just need to finish this roll one more time, and if I relax a little bit, I can get into the headspace and I can use what I can access to. Because forbidden inspiration is dive deep into your art and allow yourself to be inspired by the truth. So she's trying to grab at the truth through the art of Bethany and finishing what Bethany wanted to do.
Okay, I dig it. Do you want to roll it again, or do you want to just kind of keep your roll from earlier in the session?
Remember what my roll was? I don't know if I had any moves left. I mean, I'm fine rolling it again, I'm hoping.
Sure, let's roll it again.
Oh, 11. I don't think it's enough to get me above.
But it's not a 9.
It's not a 9. 14.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's okay. 14.
All right. Well, I think those are all good numbers, so I don't feel like the dice are I don't feel like the randomizers are gonna make this really any harder.
Yeah.
So there is a sense of something coming, kind of like a storm. Something is about to happen. Do you remember at all, if you were driving around, if you saw anything about there being a nuclear test tonight? Yes, you did. You did. You remembered there were people on top of a couple of the roofs. Yeah. For better or for worse, this was well timed. Yay? Question mark. And
Part of me knows how to use that now.
yeah. Okay. The most incredibly named atomic test device, Priscilla, ignites. Yeah, it's Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Nice.
Which it just makes me happy beyond words.
Yeah.
A rather unsettling 37 kilotons worth of atomic energy is used like God's own chisel and cracks reality to most of the scientists at the proving grounds. This is an atomic test. They're watching what things happen. They're seeing this, they're seeing that, they're collecting information. To a small but terrifyingly well-connected group, this is something much more profound. And as numbers are gathered and as pictures are taken in the test grounds, also words are said and gods are praised and demons are invoked. And so it seems like the whole world is ready to use this for something. And the trinitite, the glass that is created on a ground nuclear explosion, remelts and starts to perform unimaginable kinds of transitions to gas and fire and energy and all of those things as those little pieces of glass focus energy. And blood starts to burn and boil. And Matthew, you feel the heat now in your stump. You are connected to this for better or for worse. And you saw it once before, but now all of you see it. It is a combination of a sewer line backing up and a really foamy beer overflowing a glass. There is something, it's just, and you see the worms spawning and growing kind of out of nowhere. And you can't ever see one happen, but it seems like they're crawling between themselves, just kind of like, and it reminds you far too much, Matthew and Clara, of the endless claws and skulls and teeth that were coming out of an unimaginable orifice, dragging those chains. And it reminds you far too much of that endless, mad creation-y vibe. And then it goes and it bubbles, and there are screaming, and you hear the giants again, and you hear the flapping of wings, and you are in somewhere very strange and very terrible. and there is a mad hyena cackling sound that ends in the throaty, lascivious purr of a woman laughing that then rises back up into some terrible predatory bird screech. And as these maggots as these worms start to overflow your crucible, Bethany, you can then watch them start to reduce and sink as they melt. And eventually you have, in a brief moment, for a brief amount of time, a crucible full of metal from another place. And you have to work quickly. What the hell are you going to do with it?
Make Matthew a hand. Yeah. Okay. She is going to shove her own hand, I guess, down into the sand to make a mold of a thing, and then pour it in, and then shove Matthew's stump in it. Sorry, buddy.
What I was actually going to ask is, do you want to shove your hand, or do you want to shove my free hand? Because our hand size might differ a lot.
Yeah, it's directional. So it was
Okay, that
right
makes more
hand for a right hand rather than a. I don't want to give you two left hands.
No, that's super valid.
But she's hoping that like she'll take your other hand though and shove it in next to it in the ground to try to be like, it's this size really. She just needed a mold for the metal in the first place.
No, that works.
That's yeah.
So yeah, when she shoves the stump into the boiling liquid, terrible Metropolis metal.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's enough conceal, don't feel for Matthew not to scream. Like that's there's only so much that 1950s toxic masculinity can stoic.
Yes. As someone who has burnt themselves severely on multiple variations of hot and or molten metal, let me tell you, it changes you as a person.
Yeah.
It is a personality altering level of pain. And Matthew, you know, you've heard people talk about like phantom limb syndrome, or I can still feel it. You know, it's the 50s. There's lots of people who have experienced war-related amputations and loss of things. So some of that is kind of like in the conversational lexicon, as much as no one's allowed to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, the concepts of it still exist. And you didn't understand it until your sister grabs your hand, grabs your forearm and plunges your hand into this vaguely hand-shaped mass of boiling metal that even now, as it slightly cools from the nuclear reality cracking fire that melted it, you can actually almost start to see the beginnings of the worm start to separate. And she plunges your hand into it, and you didn't realize that phantom limbs can burn. And you feel the psychic shape of your hand because your soul, your animus, still remembers that there is a hand there, and the shape of your spiritual essence still has a hand. And so when you plunge it into there, it is less of you plunging your hand into something and connecting it Inspector Gadget style. It is like your soul is a sponge and you are plunging it in, and you feel the metal soaking in and filling in all of the spaces where the flesh used to be in between all of the pieces. But Matthew, you don't want to call it an intelligence. There is a counter instinct at play. There is whatever natural impulses that drive these Metropolis worms, whatever the cause for their being, they exist for some purpose, be it a purpose grounded in madness, grounded in reality, grounded in Metropolis's fucking who the hell knows what kind of ecosystem. Whatever it is, they have a purpose. And it seems that in this moment, something adjacent to their purpose is being brought to bear. And you can feel, Matthew, you can fucking feel these things starting to try to crawl up your veins and into your bones. And what you have to do in this moment is you have to take this metal away from the instincts that are driving it. The first piece of Metropolis you have to claim, O King, is the piece that's attached to you. So tell me the vibe about it, and then roll plus soul or anything else that you feel is appropriate.
I would say that, like, ever since Matthew was a child, like when he was first saved, like there's been an aspect of like Metropolis enacting itself on him, because of, you know, how his life was saved was an aspect of, you know, a piece of himself being taken from that, you know, from him to be given to that angel. There were the nightmares that he had, that he still has, you know, that are him being drawn into Metropolis. And I think the vibe that he has is that of when he ate the angel, when he consumed its power for his own, and also when he stood in Metropolis and the angels came at him the first time and he refused to meet. And it's that, you know, and again, like when he just recently like sacrificed literally his own flesh for his own pride and for his ability to have control. And so I think that the way that his being tries to take control of these things that are trying to essentially override his own purpose is to essentially push back, not in the sense of pushing them away from him, as it like starts to kind of creep into his bones and his marrow and his flesh, but to weave them so that they are so that their purpose is his purpose, that they are part of his machine. They are just like every steel worker that he considers to be his, right?
Ooh.
Like they are part of the greater machine of what he owns. They are part of this world that he is trying to control and devour and consume. It is not that they are consuming him. It is that he is making them a part of the greater whole that he will become.
The word that comes to mind for me is suborn.
Yes, that's a very good way of putting it. You know, like it's that entire concept that like he's always been driving forth of. It is not just the idea of being a king. It is essentially a king that is capitalistic. It is a king that is consumeristic. It is the forever expanding notion of power and control. It's gross, y'all.
Yeah, it is, but I love it so fucking much. Like I'm having a lot of really positive feelings about everything you said. Oh my gosh, Elon, that was great. Like, gosh, okay. Like I have really good players and they role play really good and they think good thoughts and they say good words. Oh my goodness. So it's going to succeed.
Yeah.
But the quality of that success will be determined by whatever die you feel like rolling right now.
Okay. I think that soul does make sense because he's trying to exert his sense of self and his sense of control.
It's that or willpower.
Yeah. Because of the inherently supernatural nature of it, I'm going to go with soul.
Okay.
Oh man, I almost read that incorrectly and I thought I got a double 10 and that would have been especially cool. But no, I got a 10 and a 6, which is still good. But I had a moment where I was almost like, did I get like 23?
The kick is good.
Yeah, it's still good. So yeah, it's that's a 19.
Okay, that's more than a 15. So well done, sir. When you make your contact and you have this moment where you take these things into you and suborn them and do all of the wonderful things that you just described. The thing that you get that's very interesting to you is the purpose of these worms. And these are perfect for you, Matthew. If there was ever anything you were going to incorporate into you, these are exactly right, because these are world eaters. They were designed by probably awakened humans in the before whatever broke Metropolis. But they're designed to nibble on things, on other worlds, and nibble slowly on them and extrude themselves as the metal that many pieces of Metropolis are made out of.
I love that. I love that so much.
So they're kind of a combination, like invasive species / immune system.
Yeah, it fits.
Yeah.
And it's that same sort of idea of, like, I like how the idea of like invasive species / immune system, because it's that idea of something that invades and then takes over and keeps other things out almost, which is just colonialism in a nutshell.
Yeah. I mean, it's like the ultimate, as I've heard some people say, the ultimate expression of capitalism is colonialism.
Absolutely.
There's a lot to unpack there, and we're not going to right now, but it's accurate enough.
No, but like it's very accurate to how Matthew's worldview and his place in the world works, and so it makes a lot of sense that it fits so well with him.
Yeah. Also, I'm hearing are the seagulls going mine.
Oh yeah, that's imagine that is just always in the back of Matthew's head.
Yeah, that's just the dubstep remix of Matthew's thoughts. Okay. So okay, we've had this wonderful internal moment. Now, Elon, tell me what your siblings see. Can you describe for us what this process looked like externally and what you ended up with?
So I want to say that when it first is plunged in, it looks similar to when you plunge a person's arm into metal. Like, it starts burning. It looks bad. It looks like something is not going well. Because I think that the moment of that sort of, when it starts creeping into him and things like that, it is that they are trying to devour him too. And as that starts happening, as it starts like creeping up his arm and kind of going underneath his skin, it starts getting molded into, instead of just this sort of like chthonic-esque bundle of metal and terribleness. And especially since you said that it was starting to kind of almost separate out into the worms again, I get sort of an image of that sort of H.R. Geiger feel of that sort of.
Yes, but it can end up looking like whatever you want.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
Full creative freedom.
And that's sort of how I see it starting, is that sort of like thing of like the Akira level, like, oh no, there's some problems here. And then as he starts suborning them to his will, they weave into like muscle fibers. And like basically like being that idea of like their concept being rewritten to like start building into the hand, and like the sort of overlay of like first bone and then the muscle like fibers and like all of that. And it still looks, I would say, like the metal of Metropolis. I don't think that the illusion, at least at this point, would try to because this is very much not a place of illusion. And so, but I think that it's that sort of like, I think we've often said that they're like almost like that greenish metallic sort of look, that just like kind of like first goes over into the bones and then the fibers, and then like finally not necessarily flesh or skin over it, but something that could, that looks like the suppleness of skin while still being metal. And as that's happening, I think that there's definitely, like, especially at the beginning, still the signs that there's something going into, like, the bone and the various, like, nerves and blood vessels and things like that. And we're not sure exactly how those fully integrate. And I think that that's something that we can explore going forward. But I think that by the end, it looks almost seamless. It doesn't look like someone, as you put it, sort of like Inspector Gadgeted on. It's almost like it's like a transition between flesh into this metal, and it's hard to see where one stops and one ends.
Elon gets an A+ in transformative body horror today. You get a good grade, and you get a good grade in spook. So siblings, he gave you all of the stuff. Now roll with it. I really have absolutely nothing else to say aside from it's your turn.
Clara and Bethany started shoving his hand just went around behind his shoulders, and his good hand he hold on to. Wanted to be supportive and ridiculous amounts of pain. The one weird thing, bits or drips of metal on the ground. Like, did he use every last drop of it, or are there leftovers?
I'm gonna say that he probably used all of it.
Okay, cool. And she's just holding on tight and giving him something to squeeze to, and kind of looked to see if there was anything left. There isn't, and is just leaning against his neck again.
Bethany is watching the magic happen because she hasn't done something like this before and is interested in how it works. So, yeah.
It definitely reinforces Bethany's thoughts that intent is 9/10 of the law.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say that probably, Clara, your hand is going to be bruised because that initial, like, pain, he's just squeezing very, very hard. I think there's
took morphine. She's fine.
It's true. You got the painkillers. I think that for Matthew, he's just kind of like heaving breaths for a little bit as the sort of almost the memory of pain like needs time to kind of fade. Those sort of like end phantom aspects of something that painful and that traumatic happening. He is drenched in sweat. And probably still kind of shaking. But there is something viscerally triumphant in how he looks, because he has again reinforced to himself that he is the baddest bitch. And when he's able to get like his breath back, he will look at Bethany and he will give a lighter squeeze to Clara and just say, thank you.
That's you. I mean, that was both of you.
We all helped and we all had help.
Are you okay? Mm-hmm. Okay, you weren't before.
It wasn't working. And now
Well, that's true. We should leave here.
okay.
We should. David's going to be very
We
worried.
need to figure out how to fix David.
Mm-hmm.
What
Yeah.
happened to David?
The things that attacked us. There, David was attacked as well.
There's David.
He's outside.
Okay. Guess we should go fix David.
Yes.
He's very broken.
Okay.
Matthew will get up on kind of.
Mhm.
He's like, we're gonna get up. And will take a stumble for a moment,
Mhm.
right himself, and throw open the door.
All right. Before we go look at David, just to make sure, is there anything else we want to do in here before we go?
I would like to collect the re-solidified glass.
Yes. Now you have kind of a one big blurb of it.
Yeah, Clara gives a brief look around. If there's any other stuff, tools, pages of things, no other worms hiding in a corner. And if there's nothing else other than glass, she's just being a shoulder for Matthew and let's get out and get what's left of David.
It looks like it, very much the national park. Take only terrible transformative power, leave only footprints is in effect.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It sounds to me that Bethany is probably the first out the door, both based off level of urgency and the fact that the other two are kind of helping each other. Does that sound fair?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Okay. David is standing in a pose that looks very, very literally dead on his feet. You know, his feet are spread apart. His arms are hanging back. His entire back is arched. His head is hanging back. Bethany, he has been stripped and taken apart and disassembled. David in this place is this complicated clockwork thing. This isn't like Matthew's integration. This is like an artificial, an android, even though I don't think that term's around at this point. It's an artificial creature, and you can see moving pieces and pistons and things, and you can see that ribs are generally there, and there's pieces of his skin peeled away, and you can see bone and ceramic and steel and brass and other things. He looks like it's not, to be specific, it's not steampunk. It's not big glass dials and whirring gears. It's smooth machined things. It's very modern. Imagine instead kind of the inside of an Enigma machine, all very carefully made little pieces of articulated things moving and whirring. He looks dead, or he looks like he has ceased.
Is any part of the clockwork still going?
There's a couple of very small movements somewhere, like deep in his chest cavity. It's like something there is kind of still sort of ticking over, but is it ticking like a car's engine ticks as it cools off after it's turned off, or is it ticking over and idle? You are not certain.
Have two thoughts.
Okay.
Um, one is use insanity to attempt to show David who he is.
Ooh.
Which I think is the stronger one, because the other one is her new manipulate the illusion power to try and like back up in the David, the human David that we know. Those are my two options.
Those are both terrible options. Fun, terrible.
Yeah. What do you have thoughts about that?
My thought is you probably should do both.
Okay.
You start with wrapping up an illusion, and then use contagious insanity to like kickstart the car.
Sure. I can try to do both.
Well,
See how well that works. I will have to look up my illusion one because I don't remember it off the top of my head.
Manipulate the illusion.
Can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's something like that.
And I feel like if Matthew wants to assist or something, as Bethany is leading this, if Matthew commands David, remember yourself or something like.
I actually like that, and I also like that it hopefully helps with David not trying to murder us when he wakes up.
Yeah.
What did you do to David?
We didn't, but
he did get,
Leave you alone.
Oh, don't even.
I went to go fix you, and you come back with a whole entire missing hand and a broken David.
And a broken David. Wow.
I fucking did. But no, I actually like that idea of like, I will actually, while Bethany is doing her parts, put a hand over the part of David that would normally be like the heart, using my weird Metropolis hand, and do the command of like remember yourself via divinity.
Remember who you are.
Okay. Got my manipulate the illusion document, so I know what it means now. Okay. Okay, that's a 16.
That's good.
Nice.
Plus soul. That's a 20. Minus the magical love. But
His magic. What was your total roll?
at 20 with soul.
Yeah, like those levels stop generally at 5, and David is not a 5. David is not a 5 dot magic level critter, so it won't go under a 15.
So I permit the illusions, overwhelming force to cancel out the magic or rebuke the being, is what it says. But really, what I'm doing is wrapping him back up in it to, put him back together into the cave.
Yeah, it's one of these very vague. It reminds me a little bit about of sphere magic of Mage the Ascension, where it's like, yeah, there's some things that are directly described, but there's a bunch of like wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff up here, and I feel like we're up here in that spot. So are you trying to turn Matthew back into flesh, or are you trying to repair this machine creature?
I am trying to make him into the way that Bethany sees David, which doesn't cancel out his weird monstrous war angel-ness actively, because she knows that's part of him and those things that she has seen, but she is trying to wrap the illusion around him like a suit.
Okay.
To hold him back in flesh.
Okay, that's a good support move. All right, We're about to make everybody mad because I like that part. Matthew, you go to lay your hand kind of on the heart spot here. And what you find, sir, are perfectly untouched the 2 sets of dog tags that have been hanging from around David's neck since he started working for you several years ago, that you've never really had a chance to look at. One of them says David Anderson. Blood type, religion, Episcopalian, whatever it is. The other one says David St. John.
Well,
The family name of your generational servants. The ones that served your father and the ones that served the Phoenix Society. There is nothing indicating which one is his.
I feel like what Matthew does when he says that, because it's clear that both of them are important in their own ways to David. They are both facets of what and who he is. He has been our very loyal manservant in many ways. He has also been someone who has pushed our boundaries in many ways. And what I think makes the most sense for what Matthew does when he finds this, he looks at them as Bethany is, wrapping him in the 2 facets of what he is, the illusion of what he is and the inner war angel of what he is. Because again, for him, both of those things are reality as well. Is that Matthew basically flips them so that the backs are against each other. I don't know if dog tags are both sides or not.
It works.
Well, something. Where at least there's something that's facing outside.
Yeah.
And with like his metal hand, as he says the thing of like, remember who you are, he's going to fuse them into one single dog tag.
Okay. A voice comes out of David's throat, which at this point is still just like wires and small tubes and little glass things and like some undefinable black liquids kind of bubbling up and out. You hear a voice. It's not David's. It says, "Listen to me. I'm not leaving here. I'm not making it out of this. I told you I would take care of your family. And so I need you to take care of mine. Swear to me. Swear to Hod. No, not God. Hod. The Archon. Swear to Hod with this blood, with your blood and mine. Swear to me that you will take care of the Van Horsts." And Bethany, as you put him back together, as you force this illusion around him, and as you see the various mechanisms of his body kind of start to recover and heal and be reminded of this terrible binding that has grabbed him and possessed him and changed him. all in service, all out of obligation, all because he is bound to love you. The flesh covers up the place that is speaking, and you see David, and his eyes don't open and he doesn't really move. But the first things he says before he opens his eyes and kind of refocuses is, Hod is dead. And then his eyes open. And in this moment of vulnerability, Matthew, you could, if you were enough of a shithead, you could claim David. You could resolve everything that's happening with him and make him yours.
I get basically what Matthew does is he looks David in the eyes. And there's that moment where he's still holding the tags, where he could try to imprint his own mark on it. And he holds it just long enough so that it is very clear to David that he could do this. And then he puts them on his chest, pats them once. Let's go. Because if there is anything that he has learned, it is that loyalty, true loyalty, comes more from actions than ownership.
All right. Okay.
Like, we'll see if he's wrong, but he looks at how it was with Jacob, and he looks at how it was with Sophia.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, when there's the illusion of choice, they don't try to get free.
You motherfucker. I love it. I don't know. What is it? Lose it. What's it called in this game? Humanity? No, wrong game.
Gain a stability. You're a terrible person.
Yeah. Gain a capitalist. Yeah. Yeah. He picks up on enough of that. Probably, I'm sure some of the nuance doesn't.
Yeah, like there's only so much you can do with like a luck.
Yeah. Some of the nuance of why Matthew specifically did what he did. But
okay, because Bethany's about to say something terrible to David.
okay.
Which is, we wouldn't leave you behind your family. She looks him in the eye after she's wrapped him all up and like reaches out and like straightens a little bit. We would never leave you behind your family.
That actually goes against a core tenet of his personality. So if you want that to sink in, you will actually have to roll something.
I will roll something about it.
Yeah, you're going to have to roll something about it. If you don't have any other suggestions, influence other.
I mean, just hang on. What things again?
Where's my thing? Yeah.
That's going to be a terrible choice. Like Bethany has done. It's useful. Like it's like this one. Actually trying to convince Nova that she would use contagious insanity to show him, but that's like
Mm.
How hard do we want to hurt David right now?
Yeah, that's a little on the edge.
That's a lot. So I can control what's other. Yeah. Sure, I will take this.
What I would say is, can I do the helping other action because of what I just did?
Oh, she just gets the +2.
Okay, perfect.
Like, I'm not allowing dice to get in the way of that fantastic role play.
No. I rolled a 13 and it's a +1, so it's a 14. So it's solidly in the middle by myself. And if I get 2 from Alon, then that's 16.
Okay.
Eventually the dice are going to punch us in the face, but not right now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
They're just resting up. One of these days it's gonna be life or death, and it's gonna be a real bad scene.
Yeah.
David's countenance goes through a very big journey between Matthew essentially looking at him and saying, I know. Like, I know your biggest secret. I know a secret that you've probably killed to keep. And then Bethany going, it's okay because you're family. We would never leave you behind. That's a real, that's a lot of psychic whiplash between these two things. And he doesn't say a lot. I mean, David is also a 10th degree black belt in conceal, don't feel. These are two grandmasters, standing off. But what he does is there's two things. One thing is that one tear runs from each eye in obviously that's how much crying he's going to let out. And that was, for the amount that he's feeling, for there to be any is a lot. The one note is that one tear is like bloody oil, and the other one is generally like human saline colored. And the only thing he says verbally is a very kind of wobbly voiced, as you say, Miss Bethany.
Let's go home.
We should go home.
Yes.
Okay. There is nothing on my side that will prevent you all from returning to the Tropicana. So, is there anything that you would like to do before we return to the Tropicana?
No, I feel like this might be a good break.
That's what I was going to say
Yeah.
next. If everybody was ready to return to the Tropicana, we were going to take our little tensies.
Yes.
I think that
So-
works for me.
All right, everybody, if you're watching it, get up and walk it off. That was a lot of feelings. So it is 9:15. We'll be back at about 9:25, 9:30, and we will continue because there's even more to tell Bethany than just that. We have a whole nother game's worth
right.
of terrible
Oh,
news
Lord.
to deliver. So,
Two.
hello and welcome back. I want to give two pieces of quick information. One is silly, one is serious. The silly information is that if you guys are watching on YouTube or Twitch or anything else, please either clip it yourself if you can, or at least, especially on YouTube, comment with a time for something that's clip worthy. Help the people that put those really great bumper reels together. Give them ease their labor a little bit. Give them some good things to find in those comments. So that's the funny thing. The serious thing is, we've been talking about it. So 2 games ago, there was a sexual assault that happened to an NPC, and this discussion is going to come up now. So if that is not where you are right now, that is okay. We support you. We love you. We think you're great. So if that's not where your entertainment is right now, then this may be a good time to take a break, or at the very least, stay aware of what's safe for you and good. So with that in mind, we are now going to get back into it. Regrettably, the room at the Tropicana looks exactly the way you left it. A mild to moderate disaster.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to have kind of like time pass until tomorrow morning and just kind of have a like we unfuck our living space and everybody takes showers and cries it out? Or do we just want to roll right into other conversations immediately?
I feel like at least Matthew would want to have some time to like change his clothing, not be covered in sweat and blood anymore, maybe take a nap, maybe have 3 drinks.
Yeah, I feel
Things
like
like
rolling
that.
in the morning, like
Yeah.
Clara is slightly high and would like to get higher and just pass out and forget the world for multiple hours.
Okay. Then I think we do.
Went through a lot. You don't know that there's anything to talk about.
I know that there's nothing. I know nothing.
So
but anything to
letting
talk
Bethany
about.
sleep, nothing's going to change between now and 9 a.m.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's sort of.
All right. I have no problem with it. So everyone wakes up. The room is vaguely set to rights. You guys will probably contact housekeeping sometime this morning and say you need to clean up the room and you need to not ask any questions. And there's a nice however many dollar bill for everyone that does that that way.
Yeah,
50
Matthew-
questions.
Matthew like takes the physically impossible crushed dome thing. What's it called?
I call it a cloche.
The cloche, yeah. Takes the physically impossible crushed cloche and like does the bare minimum of like, this is being put into a trash can. Problem solved. The improbable cloche sounds like a classic Doctor Who episode. I just like that he's like, we took the book out of the makeshift bookcase of the hole in the wall, and we have put the cloche in a trash can. Everything else, cleaning can deal with.
Any notes?
Suspicious.
Any notes of Dad that were pulled out of the book or extra notes that Bethany made? Clara is at least putting in a pile
Oh yeah,
to be examined later before she.
Yeah,
yeah.
all of those little logistic fripperies are done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We do all the things that are the literal bare minimum we need to do.
Yeah.
And then we like drink / get / conk out.
Yeah.
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 That's where we're at.
The old time-honored psychological remedy, the booze and snooze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We
All
know
right.
it well.
Yeah. I have terrible news for the Van Horsts. It is morning. I assume some kind of breakfast is ordered for someone at the very least, like bring us 4 pots of coffee.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him in a while. Jimmy actually is the one that ends up bringing it.
Oh, bless
Jimmy.
Jimmy.
Well, he'll
Yeah.
understand.
Poor dead Jimmy.
He's used to the weird. This is fine.
Yeah. And that's pretty much like
Yeah.
he, the door opens, he brings the stuff in, he realizes that the room is a disaster. He just kind of like, he does the customer service zen
Yeah.
as he is like putting things down. And, he puts out whatever you guys order and makes sure it all arranged and says,
There's a certain level of closeness that we have to Jimmy now that we've seen him in compromising hot pants. So I feel like, if anyone can see us like this, it's Jimmy.
Oh, Clara also looks up and goes, "Tell Mac that we took care of it. If he's not aware already, the next time you see him."
I think that he is. I think that he knew that something happened, but he'll be happy to hear that it was you. that happened, or that unhappened, or
Yes.
you know what I mean.
We happened. It's handled.
Yeah.
Which is our word.
Yes. I will let him know.
Thank you. Clara pours whiskey into coffee.
Mm. All right, and he kind of like he looks at the cloche and just kind of considers it with this very kind of like, 30 years working at the morgue kind of deadpan, seen it all vibe, and just you can watch him visibly decide that it's someone else's problem. Like there is a visible like I'm going to unsee it, and then he toddles the tray out and away. And now there is coffee and probably eggs and bacon and whatever else y'all ordered. If anything.
I mean, Matthew orders food because he always does. Though I think even he has less of an appetite because the body does not deal well with shock. But he will at least make an attempt. He makes himself the whiskey coffee equivalent of an Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
50-50.
Yeah.
And we'll settle down. So we had an eventful night.
Yeah.
Yes.
The club we went to, Clemenza's club. Their after hours event is the Royal Phoenix Society. And rituals therein.
It seems that the rituals that they take part in are similar in nature to the rituals that the other chapter of the Phoenix Society went through. Though with slight differentiation on victims.
And they do have an Azadeva they're keeping and using. And once people are intoxicated, or once a particularly lovely young woman was intoxicated to the point of barely knowing what was going on, they used and abused her in front of the entire audience in every awful way you can imagine.
Everything that's on the table starts to rattle.
We know.
We're going to stop it, right?
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
We knew that this was a likely possibility as soon as we knew they were part of the Royal Phoenix Society. This just confirms what we have to do and perhaps moves up the time.
Yes. But that's why we ran home to find you, and then you were very gone. I know. But we knew we were going to handle the Westlakes, and we will handle them harder and quicker now, and hopefully free those that they are using. Yes.
We know that Clemenza is their man and that he chafes unheard. That's one method. We know that one of them, at least, is quite taken with Clara.
Yes. And we could use that. I'm not scared of using such things.
There's a number of dangers involved in it. Not saying that it's something that we can't do. just pointing that out.
You just, Bethany, walked into the desert with nobody and nothing around you looking to do magic, and you just blew your own hand off, Matthew, so nobody has stones to throw in this family. What I'm doing is tame compared to choices we've all made recently.
When we do something that's dangerous.
That's obviously the correct place to do it.
Yes.
I fixed it. Don't know why you're blaming me.
I'm just saying we can handle danger, is all.
What I'm saying is that when Bethany and I do dangerous things, we're only risking ourselves, Claire.
Yes. Fine.
I'm not saying that you can't. I'm just saying to remember that.
Of course. Figuring out if we could get Clemenza. The thing was, that was Clemenza's club. That is
Yes.
his safety zone. While he's still under the thumb of the couple, I don't know if us freeing him from them will help anything, because that was still things that he, maybe I was under the wrong impression, willingly wanted to do and was controlling and enjoying. He didn't want us to stay, but
It's the question of whether or not he enjoys it or he enjoys the power that being their toady gives them. I'm not saying...
And also, I mean, just to be outraged for a minute at Clemenza, he let it fucking happen.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like, even, and apparently consistently enough that it became a thing. And it, okay, I'm sorry.
yeah. No, so I don't know that just removing Alistair and his wife will fix the problem.
No, of course not.
No.
What we should do, in my opinion, is use Clemenza, get him to think that he should trust us more than he can trust them for him being able to have power, because that's what he really is lusting for. And then, when they're off the board and he is ours, that's when we can throw him in the trash. Use him until he is no longer worthwhile. And then we can do what we want. Otherwise, we're throwing away a pawn that could be used to get to the queen.
Yes. And while you were using him, at least having one evening with my supposed suitor, much like with the cop, where I can go in and see how deep this goes, see how much information I can get, is not a poor choice.
It's the right choice. I just don't like that it's the right
one
choice.
night to get in on the inside. Yes, I understand.
You are correct. I don't like that you are correct. Does that make sense?
I know. I love you too.
I love you. Bethany,
Yes.
you've seen the magic that they've used from there when David was fighting.
Some.
Do you think that we would be able to infect what they hold? It could be another route in.
Possibly.
If we had come at this from a number of different angles, each of us with our strengths, it's going to go a lot easier than if we put all of our eggs in one basket.
I will say, while I have no wish to witness these rituals again or return to that club, all of us taking a night there to come back and enjoy the show means Bethany can study the magic more. I can happen to run into that man again, and you can confirm Clemenza's loyalties to you. We might have to go back another night.
I think it's a good idea. My question is, Bethany, do you think that is something you can do?
Promise not to burn it to the ground while everyone's still in there.
But
You can do that, just not the first time you go.
That's what I meant.
Okay. I just wanted to make it very clear that that is certainly the goal eventually.
No, there are people inside we want to get out.
including the poor girl,
It's true.
their singer, and the Azadeva.
Those were the people. I
Yes.
guess.
Okay.
Yeah, those are the people that we want to get out.
Yeah.
I'll agree with that.
Mhm.
We're all in agreement here on who should be getting out and who shouldn't.
So third time's a charm. Second time we go back for information gathering. Third time we burn it and we get people out.
It seems like we at least have a plan.
Mm-hmm. And during all of this, we still need to look into these tests and the proving grounds. I'll be incredibly curious if our friends got any interesting readings last night after that test.
Do you want to reach out to your contact?
To Edward. It's probably worth it. I mean, if they did get strange readings, I'm certain he's neck deep in whatever science they're doing, but still offered a tour. I
I think all of that sounds great.
Yeah. I'll try to continue to lay some foundations to make it so that Clemenza sees our ship as something to hitch to more so than the Westfields. I think that us laying the grounds for things, going back, getting them information that we need, we can't just walk back in and do what we did last time where we just watch. We have to basically prep everything.
Yes. I would be very curious if Clara kind of gets out her little notebook and starts flipping through it. Considering the thing that Edward and Marcus were talking about, things that they can't see, changing the nature of things they can't observe, but only observe the result, I would be very, very curious if their results today
Different.
are different. Claire goes to pick the phone up.
Yeah.
Okay.
He might not answer, but if they got different results, he might be in the middle of, frantically doing his job. But
Okay. Doing anything more than kind of starting that phone call is something we don't have time for tonight.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, we are.
So what I'd like to present is the idea where Clara makes that phone call, they say something in return, and then we kind of move into debrief.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
That
But
makes
of course,
sense.
the question before that is, does anybody want to do or say anything else? Because we have plenty of time. Like it's
Yeah.
10 to 10, and I figure we're going to debrief for at least 20 minutes. So
I think that the only other thing that I really want to do that would be a short period of time sort of thing is to tap into influential friends to try to set up again more of basically to try to create again like more of a show of power for setting up things with Clemenza. But I'm not sure exactly what methods would be the best for that, or if there is one.
I think that we'll have to noodle on that together.
We'll noodle on it together. That doesn't need to
Yeah.
be something right now.
Yeah.
Because that was sort of my idea is like each of the siblings can kind of have their three-pronged attack into what we're doing so that each of them kind of use their various skills. But I think that for each of us, we need to kind of prep for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think it's fantastic. Anytime all three of you like just go, hey, we're gonna all come up with a plan that shares the spotlight. Like I'm here for it.
The only last thing that Clara wants to do is she's kind of avoided touching Matthew's new hand so far. She should cease doing that. She does love him. So as she gets up to go make the phone call and pour herself more whiskey on her coffee, she deliberately like reaches a hand up to run her fingertips over the back of his Metropolis and just make contact with him and kind of give the moment of like, yes, I'm accepting this. I still love you. But also she's curious if it feels like metal or skin.
That is a decision that is entirely up to Elon to make.
The answer to that is yes.
Yeah.
I'm getting this weird feeling of like aluminum foil.
I wouldn't say aluminum foil, but have you ever felt like I want you to think of like have you ever felt like a metal mesh that's like draped over something warm?
Yeah.
So like there's give to it. It feels almost like if you didn't know what you were touching, it would feel almost kind of like it was just like normal skin because it's got that same skin warmth that still has the give, but that's not the texture that skin has. So like it's very similar to like sort of almost like a really, really tight metal weave.
Neat.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Clara takes a breath and weaves her fingertips between his and then like pockets the phone against her shoulder so she can dial with the other hand.
He will hold her hand back because he's also trying to get used to the fact that he has those.
Yeah. So the phone rings. What was that shithead's name? Andrew, I think you said.
There is a Edward Alberts is the loud engineer that flirted with Clara. So that's right. The one. And his friend was Marcus Baum.
That's right.
Yeah.
Alberts. It's you make a phone call. The logistics of leaving a phone call on a time when people don't have cell phones and all of that. The call me back left a message for you. Takes 5 or 10 minutes. His
secretary, if nothing else, and she's just like, "Hi, tell Eddie that it's Clara Van Horst, and I heard that we saw it from the top of the hotel. The explosion went amazingly last night, so he might be very busy, but tell him I would love to take him for a drink for congratulations whenever he's free and to call me back soon."
Yeah. And she writes all that down. She's kind of, you can hear some like femme snark because apparently her opinion of where this guy's station is inside the testing grounds is lower than you're talking like it is. So what the vibe that you're probably picking up from the secretary is that this fucking guy, trademark, has oversold his rank more than once. This is not the first time that a lady has called for assistant to the director, that kind of thing. So it's just a couple of minutes and he calls back. He is Have you ever met someone like the day after they had a profound like religious level experience? And there's a lot of serotonin and dopamine in their brain, and they're like really kind of wide-eyed and like, let me tell you how I was changed yesterday. Like that is absolutely that like that vibe that he's coming. He's like, yeah, the test was amazing. Things were incredible. I'm like, essentially, he's just like, it was awesome. We got everything we wanted to out of it. I'm all jazzed the hell up. I am absolutely 100% down to wine and dine and then seal the deal clearly because like all contact with a female will end in sexual conquest in this tiny little monkey's brain. But that's definitely
Well, that's exciting. Can I buy you a drink over lunch? Do you have a half an hour for lunch today?
yeah, he makes some like crap ass remark about it always taking longer than a half an hour. Like he is exactly who he is on the phone as he is in person. He's just a gross like engine that runs off testosterone and like
Claire doesn't have to dial anymore, so she can not hold the phone like this. She just gently pulls it away from her ear and looks disgusted as if like this guy just pukes out over the speaker, probably enough for them to tinnily hear. Well, I can't wait. A 2 martini lunch, maybe 3. We'll celebrate.
yeah, he says absolutely. Yeah, like totally for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, and that's a date is made
Sounds
for
good.
lunch, for lunch in 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, perfect.
And he was like, yeah, we'll go get burgers. Like he's not a Van Horst.
No. Okay, I can't wait. I'll see you there. And they decide the place and she hangs up. She's like,
Yeah.
This guy absolutely thinks that he's going to take Clara fucking Van Horst to a burger shop, feed her $1.50 worth of cheeseburgers and French fries, and then bang her in his car in the parking lot. Like that is like that's what he thinks is going to happen. He can also be killed without consequence.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we'll also be looking into Clemenza and doing other things next game. But I think right now we're ready to transition.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh. Yeah.
All right. So, Elon, how do you feel?
I feel good. I had a really good time.
Good.
Being terrible.
Yeah. You did really good with your descriptive prose and everything tonight. Like I'm still very much so over the moon with the descriptions and stuff. Like that was really good.
I blush.
Yeah. So, Kate, are you happy to be back?
Yeah, I am happy to be back.
Yeah.
Very much so. I was pleased that my "oh no, I can't" for last time meant that all of this fantastic terribleness happened. But I'm much happier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Erica, how are you feeling?
I'm good. It was a quieter game, which is fine because I am other brain stuff. But I am good game-wise. And it looks like Claire will certainly have time to be her charismatic self next game. So
Yeah.
that sounds great. Yeah.
I wanted to do a quick check-in with Erica, actually, because of the fact that Matthew pulled we're allowed to be more reckless, but you're a pregnant lady, so you're not allowed to be as reckless. And so I wanted to just check in with you on an out of character level of like that sort of behavior.
No, that's great. I enjoy that sort of overprotectiveness that comes with that sort of plot line. So that is great. Totally makes sense. And I'm also glad that like it's a footnote right now, but it's still a very relevant one. So it was nice that like people haven't forgotten. There's still this very complicated thing happening. Shouldn't do drugs about it. Yeah.
I like how brief it was that it was like, I shouldn't do drugs about this. But actually.
Well, in the middle of the desert, found a good excuse. That's really what she needed.
Oh, absolutely.
It was a hard night. And to help the family,
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is very self-sacrificing. Tink, 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 tink.
Sorry, brother in massive pain and sister going insane. I need this.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I took his stuff and shoved it in molten metal. So not
That was so good.
I was like, I'm gonna do this. Sorry. I have 3 seconds. This is my plan.
Yeah. But it's like
We
magic
make
is
very good plans.
Magic is supposed to be messy, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like even the calm, cool, and collected magic in the book is still like just
Mhm.
gross, bad, nasty,
Mhm.
like dangerous stuff. So
So the reason Clara was looking if there were any other worms left was what she wanted to do was, if there was any left, was to fashion one into a ring.
Wow.
Yeah. So now she has a goal. The next time, you know, Metropolis worms happen, maggots happen, she would like a maggot ring.
Okay, your morning
Because it
sickness
matches
can
his
work on that.
hand. Yeah.
Romance.
Romance.
Oh God. Maggot
morning
morning
sickness can work on
sickness.
that.
I hate you.
This is why she hasn't been eating. I mean, many other things.
Kate, no. Why are you like that?
Because Bethany doesn't say many of the terrible things, I think.
oh yeah, I've self-filtered a bunch of stuff. Like that scene from Jeff Goldblum's The Fly, except shiny, has gone through my head several times in the past month and a half.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, but that's a whole that's a whole new set of negotiations. We haven't even gotten into any of that. That's all stuff that we would need to unpack.
But no, it was good. How are you doing then?
I'm exceedingly happy. I mean, it's just I really like it when someone has enough juice to give like a 5-minute speech.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, what that tells me is that the place that I've helped them get to gave them that much energy. So it's like when Elon is like, I have all of these thoughts and all of my feelings, and I have all of these different things that are happening inside my character's head. It's like, yes, good. Because like, that's, you know, that's the payback, you know, and
I need you to know that I ran out of coffee today. I have had only tea for caffeine. And I also had a headache right before we started game, and your game is still so good that like I get inspired to go on to long rambling things about my headspace. So like I legitimately almost was like, I'm not even sure if I can do game, but I really want to because this is important to me. And like I think that like the worlds that you place us into, Ben, really brings out the best in us as players. It's such a collaborative effort.
Thank you.
And it means a lot to me that you give us this amazing world to play off of.
Well, you're very welcome. It's very enjoyable. Yeah, Clara / Erica's gasp when I said St. John, like that was restorative.
Well, he was so important to us and so loyal. And he's like the one that got us through Dad's death. And then his other son was there the night that the first Royal Phoenix Society exploded and was serving there. And like,
no, your math is off. This is his grandson.
Yeah.
No, but who was there the night that the Royal Phoenix Society?
St. John's son, St. John II, was at the Royal Phoenix Society the night he killed everyone in the building.
That's what I thought.
This is St. John.
Yeah.
This is St. John the Third's like.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, there's just a lot of complicated backstory that was from our first season, but he's such an important character to us and honestly raised us as much as Dad did. So
more so in a lot of ways, quite frankly.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was also the one that explained to you that there were greater forces at play, and that, you know, like he was the one that had to bear the anger and the betrayal after Papa Mal's death, like that. Like he had to face that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So still having a part of him with us is important and feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the rebuilding of David was neat and Yeah.
I really like that.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I would have been very, very sad if I would have understood killing characters off is fine. But if this was David's perma, or I would have been sad to lose him from the campaign. So
I also was really worried that this was just the end of David. You guys reap what you sow. And
it can
again,
happen. It can
yeah, I could I was ready for it, but I would have been sad.
Mm-hmm. Bethany was not ready and therefore fixed it. She's like, no.
Bethany story.
We're still in the reaping and watching it grow phase.
Yeah.
We're still in the sowing and watching it grow phase.
Yeah.
Kind of when we get to the testing grounds and other that's
Mm-hmm.
things are going to get exceedingly weird and strange and terrible
good.
at that point. Because I feel also naturally we're getting to the point where you guys are starting to make plans, definite plans that are the end of a thing.
Yeah.
Not the end of the story, but we're going to fucking deal with Clemenza and we're going to deal with West
Mhm.
Smith. We are going to resolve these storylines kinetically in that case.
It's time.
Yes.
It's the time. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it. We'll see you in 2 weeks. And remember, use your safety mechanics and take care of each other.
Yep.
And drink your fucking water.
Thank you, Curtis.
So,
Thank
yes.
you, Curtis, so much.
Yes.